Hi there, this is David, welcome to my review of Crymachina, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC on October 24th. Before we do begin with the review, I would like to thank NIS America for a key for this game. There were not a lot of great releases slated for this month, so I was really looking forward to Crymachina. It seemed like it was kind of like the best of the bunch, you know? And from everything that I saw in the trailers, as well as the stunning visuals, I thought this would be like a really fun action RPG that I could just kind of like chill and relax with. But how did it all pan out? Is it a good action RPG? Or is it just flash in the pan? Go with me, and let's find out. Like this shirt? Cool, I do too. Well, I guess I really should, since I, along with Switch Wicked, the same people who do Super Derek shirts, all designed it. I am happy to announce that I partnered with them to create these super cool, soft, and high-quality tank tops and t-shirts that are only going to be available for pre-order for an extremely limited amount of time. Only 2 more days here. So, if you want to get a hold of one and support the channel at the same time, hurry on over and click the link below to order them for yourselves. And now, back to the video. Crymachina is the spiritual successor to Crystar, and is developed by the same team. And, just like Crystar, this is an action RPG. But here, you're thrust into the sci-fi world of Eden, 2,000 years after the extinction of humanity. You play as Laban, who died from the centrifugal syndrome that killed off 20% of humanity. And 6 months after the outbreak of that disease, and the deaths of scores of different people, World War III broke out as the remaining people panicked and fought over the world's dwindling resources. Between the double whammy of the war and the disease, humanity just kinda like faded into oblivion and went extinct. But before everybody died, a couple of people managed to escape in a spaceship called Eden, where they then created 8 Deus Ex Machina, who are essentially artificial intelligences whose job it is to eventually resurrect humanity. However, now thousands of years after the extinction, the AI has kinda like gone out of control, and the only way to get the machines back on track is to track down and find a real human, because then all the machines would be forced to obey them. I've gotta say, the premise of the story is actually pretty damn cool, as you've been reborn as an Eve, essentially like a cyborg version of your former self, and instilled with your personality data. And you're then joined by 2 other cyborg girls, Makoto, who you can control in a couple of battles, and Amy, whose personality pretty much just kinda consists of flirting with Makoto and making her uncomfortable. Think something like Angelica from the Trail series, and then you'll get it. I mean, I'm kind of uncomfortable enough looking at everybody's creepy eyeballs. It looks like they've all got pink eye or something, but anyway. You, Laban, are the chosen one, the one destined to actually become human. And you do this by gaining experience to level up, because the higher the levels that you get, the more human that you'll become. And hey y'all, if you're liking this so far, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for some more great content. So far, so good, I suppose. But after the introduction, it kinda starts to fly off the rails. Or really, I should say, it remains on rails the entire time. Remember Loop 8 and how I said that I hate looping RPGs because they just kinda do like the same thing over and over and over again? Well, this is the Loop 8 of action RPGs. Here is how the entire game plays out. You go to the Imitation Garden, where you and your little girly friends do little girly things, like have mandatory tea parties, blabbing on and on and on about the topic of the day. Then, once you've done that, you spend your experience to level up, and then you spend your ego, which you earn during those tea parties, and that ego boosts up your individual stats. Then, you can switch your equipment around and all that, until you then head on back to Eden for the next stage. Oh, and the equipment? Yeah, that's based on a gacha system. What you get is random and dependent on your levels. Wonderful. Anyway, once you're done at the garden, you head on back to Eden, which is split into kind of different worlds. And each of those worlds is ruled by a different Deus Ex Machina. And each of these worlds also consists of exactly 3 stages. You have the gateway, the checkpoint, and then the central core where the boss lies. That's really it. Then, between each stage, you go on back to the garden, have your mandatory tea parties, do your equipment changing and all that kind of good stuff, and then head off for the next stage. That's kind of the loop for the entire game. Oh, and by the way, I know that everything that I've shown you so far kind of looks exactly the same, but these have all been completely different levels. I guess they couldn't find too much variety out there in space. Now, this could just be a me problem, but I really don't like it when the gameplay loop is so thrust right into your face. My first experience with action RPGs was games on the NES, like Crystallis and Star Tropics, or on the SNES with Secret of Mana, and there really wasn't like a loop there. You would go to towns and dungeons and find new weapons and magical spells while going all over the world to completely different areas, filled up with different cultures, really cool intricate dungeons, and tons of treasures. There was no loop, it was just fun exploration. But not here. The loop is thrust right in your face. So, what about all the exploration? Well, I wish I could say that it's open, but it's not. I mean, look at these mini-maps. They're mostly just hallways, with no deviations and no treasure to be found. So, that was a huge disappointment to me. Okay now, let's talk combat. First up, you have the choice between normal and casual difficulty levels. And I played on casual and I died still like a billion times. So I imagine normal is just ridiculous. Because here's the deal. Your HP level is like the high thousands, if not tens of thousands later on. And most enemies will deal like a couple hundred damage per attack. But then, sometimes those enemies will come from behind you, or bosses will just kind of like wail on you, and they'll do like 7,000 or 8,000 damage a pop. So it becomes like 2 hits and you're dead. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if there was actually a block button, but there isn't. There is kind of like a dash button, but most of the time the enemy kind of gets behind you and you can't see them, and then before you know what's happening, you just kind of like die out of nowhere. Now, this could just be another me problem, because I'm notoriously terrible at Souls-like games, but from what I gather, this doesn't seem to be too much of a Souls clone, so I could be wrong. I really just like relaxing action RPGs, like, the Mana series. But you won't be relaxing here, at least not during those boss fights, because your palms might get sweaty, but you will have downright swamp ass from all that ass clenching. Whenever you do die, you'll be sent back to the last checkpoint, so do be thankful for the cutscene skipping. It comes in so handy for the game overs, as well as the tea parties. Lastly, and this needs to be said, there is no English voice acting. It's all in Japanese, which I guess is fine whenever you just want to sit there and read during the visual novel scenes and the different tea parties, but it is literally impossible to know what they're blabbing on about while you're also busy running around a level, fighting a boss, jumping around dodging, and attacking. You can't do all that while at the same time having to try to read a teeny tiny text box too. It's just not feasible. And it's made all the more annoying because a lot of the time your party's going to give you pointers on what to do to attack a boss or some strategy well in the middle of a boss fight, and you're trying to read what they're saying while still fighting, and that just leads to an eventual death. It really is such a shame because I felt like this had a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, it's just not for me. I mean, number 1, I'm gay, so the girls just don't do it for me. Number 2, I don't like anime, so the tropes just got on my nerves. And number 3, I'm a crotchety old bitch with horrible eyesight and poor reflexes. So the lack of English voice acting and the hard boss fights just put a huge damper on my experience. I was really and truly looking forward to this game. I kind of thought that it was like the highlight of the October release schedule. But I do take my job here seriously, and it is my duty to give you my unbiased opinions, and I just gotta say, it's not for me. However, if you're a fan of the Souls series or waifu animes or visual novels, then I do think that you can find something to enjoy here. So, how do you feel about the game, and do you think that you'll be picking it up or not? Let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do here on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos and behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.